Oh, don't let the cave-in get you down. Don't let the falling rocks turn your smile into a frown. When the tunnel's as dark as that's when you need a clown. Hey! Don't let the cave-in get you down, Sokka.
Welcome back to The Boys in the Iceberg, the podcast where we watch Avatar The Last Airbender. As always, I'm Caleb Bader.
And I'm Harley Davis.
And we started Season 2 this week.
Hooray!
Yeah, finally. Not that I don't enjoy Season 1, but Season 2 is probably my favorite season, I'd have to say.
We've come so far, kids. I would also agree with that. Season 2 is probably my favorite season.
It's got so much going on for it. And a lot of spoilers.
So many characters.
That we're going to have to wait 2 more weeks to get into.
Yeah.
That's the only part is the only part that I don't like is how long it takes to get to the parts that I do like.
Which is we say spoilers a lot, but if you're listening to our show, I guarantee you've probably seen enough Avatar to know.
I would hope so.
Who Toph is.
Don't even say that.
He's a big man.
Yes.
His name is
that shouts.
And he's not blind. And his whole name is actually Topherus.
Topherus Rex.
Topherus Rex. We're not
going to get into the spoilers just yet. So yeah, we watched 2 episodes this week again. And the first episode of season 2.
We know the names this time, guys.
Was the Avatar State.
Yes.
And it takes place. I don't know. There might have been a time skip. Do you think that we jumped in time?
I think from the first one to probably because it took Azula, since we saw her in the last episode, probably time on her ship to get to where Zuko is.
Yeah,
I would say that. But I think there was a bigger time skip in between this episode and the next episode.
Yeah, it looks like that. But yeah, I think we sort of jumped in time because it seemed like Aang and Katara had spent more time with the waterbending master Pakku at the North Pole.
True.
Because he's sending them off. It seems that Aang has kind of mastered waterbending. I think he still has a little bit of work to do.
He would have to at this point, though, because the first season's over, and that was book 1's one.
Yeah.
You would think that since they moved on to...
He still works with Katara some.
Yeah, like you improve upon your skills, but I think there's not a cap, but there's a moment where you become a master.
Yeah.
Like you can still learn things every single day, like when he became a master airbender, he got those tattoos, and he became it was a big ceremony, and he didn't bow. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the movie. He became a master. He gets those tattoos, and I think that's like you're still going to learn things. You're still going to learn airbending past that. Like he doesn't know every single airbending move ever, but I think right now he's technically a master. He's mastered waterbending. He's just learning more techniques, different stances, how to perfect everything.
Yeah,
what he's doing.
So we actually start this episode with Pakku sort of sending Aang, Katara, and Sokka off to go to Omashu to be trained by King Bumi.
With little words of wisdom and presence.
Yes,
except for Sokka.
I think he gave Aang some waterbending scrolls to learn.
Multiple?
I think so, because there's like a chest that he gives him, or like a little box.
We had a whole episode dedicated to one waterbending scroll, but now he's like, dude, we have all these waterbending scrolls.
Yeah.
We just need to get rid of them.
They're just swimming in them.
We don't use them.
Yeah, we've got actual waterbending
Take
masters.
them with
I'll just
you.
write new ones. It's okay.
I actually painted this one myself when I was 12.
Yeah, so
it's for you. So
Pakku leaves Aang with some words of wisdom and some waterbending scrolls, and then he fondly tells Katara goodbye, and then says, "See you later, Sokka."
He flips Sokka off.
Yeah,
and he slaps him in the face and says, "You're a disgrace.
Yeah, I hate you and everything you stand for.
Your Water Nation is everything without you. You're a piece of crap."
And then they fly off, headed for the Earth Kingdom, so that Aang can learn to master earthbending.
Yeah. Really? Is earthbending? I thought he was going to go learn firebending from King Bumi. Because King Bumi is also an avatar.
You're an idiot.
Two avatars in one show.
No. Okay, so they go to they're headed off to Omashu to learn earthbending. Officially, that's what it says in the official. But they end up going to like an Earth military base.
I don't know why. I guess I didn't catch that when I first watched it.
They're going there so they can be escorted because a lot of the Earth Kingdom is under Firebender control. at this point.
That's fair because they're at war.
Yeah,
and
so
it's mainly the Earth Kingdom versus the Fire Kingdom.
Yeah, so
The Fire Nation.
they go to this military outpost to be escorted to Omashu, to where Aang can learn earthbending, and they meet the guy in charge.
General Fong, who is voiced none other by Daniel Day Kim
Yes.
from Lost and Hawaii Five-0.
Mostly Lost.
I would say mostly Hawaii Five-0 right now.
No, I don't think so. I don't count that.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Lost is a better show.
You're not wrong. Wow. I think
Shots fired.
He's more
Hawaii
prevalent.
Five-0.
He's more prevalent in Hawaii Five-0. Both shot in the same place, Hawaii.
Yeah, my theory is he didn't leave because I think that there was like 6 months between the shows, like the end of Lost and the debut of Hawaii Five-0.
He actually didn't. He didn't die. Lost.
Yeah,
spoiler.
so he just bought a house down in Hawaii and just lives there now.
He had to get away from Jack and Kate. He's like, I can't stand these guys. Son, let's fake our deaths.
Well, see, I think that like this is I should probably save this for my Lost in Hawaii Five-0 podcast, but John Locke. They got Terry O'Quinn, who played John Locke on Lost.
That's true.
Is also in Hawaii Five-0,
they
and
have,
Hugo Reyes.
Yeah, they do.
That's
Garcia.
not his name.
Garcia.
Yeah.
What is his first name?
Jerry.
Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, what is his name? I don't even remember now.
The big Hurley.
Hurley,
He's
Hugo
Hurley.
Reyes.
Yeah. And they have Daniel Day Kim.
Yeah, so they just stayed in Oahu and just got on Hawaii Five-0. But that's
awesome.
neither here nor there in this Avatar podcast.
Back to the first episode of the Avatar State.
So they show up to this Earth Kingdom outpost, and the guy who's in charge, Daniel Day Kim, what's his name again?
General Fong. He's a very big dude.
Yes, he is.
He's just built.
But he is, as soon as they show up, basically, he is adamant that the Avatar can defeat the Fire Lord now.
Yes.
Because he had heard what happened at the North Pole when Aang basically just destroyed everybody single-handedly.
And Aang has actually been having with the Avatar State.
Yes.
But we've already Aang has actually been having nightmares about the Avatar
Yeah,
State.
I think that's actually how
it starts
opens
off.
up, because
And
we
I
get
really like that.
flashbacks
Yes.
to previous times he's been in the Avatar State.
Every single time he's been in the Avatar State.
Yeah.
Well, at the beginning we
yes.
get the first three. We don't get the one where he was on the kicked over the boat and fight Zuko. But we get the big fish salamander and the other two times. We get the time when he finds Monkey Gyatso. But when he walks up, it's actually no longer Monkey Gyatso. He turns around and it's himself in the Avatar State, and then he fights himself in the dream state. It's weird. I don't know.
They're taking chances this season.
Yeah, they're getting a little. They're confident in their material, and they're getting a little crazy.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, and that's why season 2 is probably my favorite. So yeah, we see Daniel Day Kim. He says that he wants to sort of induce the Avatar State in Aang.
Yeah, he calls him a weapon. Actually,
Yeah, he says he's the most powerful weapon.
He's going to use him as a weapon to defeat the Fire Lord.
And so Aang's sort of struggling with this because General Fong, that's his name. I keep forgetting his name.
F-O-N-G.
Yes. So
Fong.
General Fong shows Aang some of the wounded people from the Earth Kingdom who have been fighting the Fire Nation, and he says, if you don't defeat the Fire Lord now, a lot of these people are going to die. And so Aang's like, what do? Do I do what Avatar Roku and literally all the wisdom of all the avatars is telling me to master all the elements, or do I just try to do it right now and save all these people's lives?
Yeah, I'd fight him right now.
I don't think I would. That's dumb.
First of all, what you made earlier is he does have waterbending already. And
Yeah.
he has created fire.
Yeah.
So just tiddle with that a little bit, and he's a master airbender. So he has at least 3. Who needs earthbending?
Yeah,
It's
really.
and he's the Avatar state.
I wouldn't say he's got 3. He
turned
doesn't
into
have fire.
He turned into a fish salamander to defeat the Fire Nation.
That's true.
If he turned into the fish salamander again, he could kill Ozai in a second.
I think the whole thing is mastering the Avatar State, though, because you can't just because we actually learn in this episode later that if you're killed in the Avatar State, the reincarnation cycle is broken.
Yeah, this is actually, I think it's the only time actually that we get the spirit world from the Avatar state. Like he goes,
Yeah, he actually.
There's moments where he meditates and he goes in the Avatar or he goes into the spirit world, but he's actually in the Avatar state, fully active, destroying stuff. And then he goes into the spirit world. Like he's like I don't know what's going on right now. Like gets sucked up into an Avatar. Roku's like, listen, I gotta tell you some stuff.
Yeah.
You could die like this, and if you die, we all die. There are no more avatars. The regeneration cycle stops.
So yeah, that's sort of getting a little bit ahead in the episode, but sort of the next thing that happens is they're doing all these weird things to get Aang into the Avatar state. Like at one point they dress him up in all this ceremonial garb from all the different things, and the guy throws mud on him, like all the mixing of the elements.
Yeah.
And they give him some tea that's supposed to induce it, but he just gets really hyper and starts running around all over the place. And then he decides that he's going to do it, and he tells General Fong that I'm going to do the Avatar state. And then it cuts to him, and he's sort of thinking about it later at night, and Katara is not having this. She's like, okay, you cannot do this. And Sokka's like, yeah, just do it. Whatever. I don't even care.
Yeah, Katara's being a real Kate right now.
Not really.
She's got to disagree with everything.
Yeah, but I mean, she's right.
I hated it though. And then, is this the first? Would that be the first time we haven't actually seen him self-induce the Avatar state, have we? Like he's always been like
it's always
emotionally
been in crisis,
overwhelmed.
yeah,
like it's an emergency. We haven't actually seen him meditate into the Avatar state, so that'd be really cool to have seen. But again, he gets angry and
so yeah, that night he decides he's not going to do it, and he's going to tell the general in the morning that he's just not. He wants to proceed with the elements like he was supposed to, and so the next morning he goes and tells General Fong that, and is immediately attacked. General Fong throws his desk at him and throws him out of a window.
Yes, and crushes him with the desk.
Yes,
and Aang is dead.
And the show is over.
It now goes to Katara, who somehow becomes the next Avatar. So Avatar Katara, which is why
how that works.
Which is why she's in Korra.
No, none of that happens. Aang he sort of runs away, gets out of the way of the falling desk, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here? We're on the same side. I want to defeat the Fire Nation as much as you do."
And then we get some sad backstory from General Fong about his father being in Ozai, and then we don't want to hear that at all.
Yeah.
And it's tragic. I guess Fong is the long lost son of Ozai.
All this is not true. I don't know what you're saying right now.
So he still keeps he's pressing the attack, and he sends all of his guards. Which actually, the way we talked about, or the way they have it set up, we talked about this. They have those little Earth Kingdom emblems.
Yeah,
the circles with a square in the middle.
Well, it looks like a coin.
Yeah, and they're standing in the middle of the cutout square, and
like I think it's sort of like a training area.
Yeah.
And so they got all these people lined up, standing in the center of that Earth Kingdom symbol.
And they bust open these large discs, which you see these discs again in Korra, but they're much smaller, and they're using the little fights. But they punch him up, and they attack Aang with him. And
he's just flipping around at this
Aang
point.
Is back on the defensive.
Way.
We see a lot of defensive Aang again, which I love that about his bending. He's always on the defensive. He doesn't attack like ever until he becomes the Avatar state, which I think is a cool. Like there's like opposites there. Like Aang is a defensive, but when he gets in the Avatar state, he's like, I'm gonna wreck shop, man.
Well, yeah, because he in his normal state airbending, his mind is sort of evade and wait for an opportunity. When he's in the Avatar state, he has the previous knowledge of all the avatars before him who have different training in the different bendings. So he goes on the attack more often.
Which when he goes into the Avatar state, we get 3 different avatars we haven't seen before. Karuk, Yingxin, and then there's a fire bender that we...
does he have a name?
I don't know.
So he ends up going into the Avatar state when the general... submerges Katara in the earth, and Aang thinks she's dead. Because that's the way he induces the Avatar state.
Aang breaks down into tears. He's like, "You don't have to do this." He's like, "Clearly, I do." And then he camera cuts to the Fong's fist, and he clenches it.
And Katara gets sucked into the
all
earth.
the way down the earth, and it's really cool.
And so then Aang turns around and gets mad and goes into the Avatar state and starts destroying stuff.
And we've already seen some really great choreography with Aang avoiding all these all these discs. And he jumps in the little in the squares. He's a small enough dude to do that, and he just evades all these discs. Yeah, he runs up the wall, and the little ostrich horse things run up the wall with him. Whatever those are, those superhero ostriches.
A lot of the times you see the disc close in on him like 2 from the sides, and he ends up in the center, and that's how he gets out of that.
And I liked it a lot. So I've always said it's not the best choreography we've seen, but I've always said that this is some of the best choreography in an animated show.
I really like the Earth Kingdom stuff and how the earthbending's done.
I think they're brutal and straightforward.
Yeah,
and I like that. I don't know. Firebending is aggressive, but it's sharp, and then airbending is evasive, and waterbending is just smooth and graceful.
And earthbending is rock steady.
Yeah, you could say that.
No love for the pun?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, I will.
I just immediately thought of the Arkham games.
Oh, yeah.
When you said Rocksteady.
different thing.
Hey, segue. We don't see her yet in this episode.
No.
Yeah, we do. Do we?
Yeah,
No.
this is the same episode.
Yeah, this is the first episode we see.
So yeah, we're only
Azula.
talking about like one part of this episode.
Yeah, I'm like, we haven't even gotten to Azula yet, which
So-
is voiced by Grey Delisle.
Well,
and
yeah, let's-
she's in the Arkham games as Catwoman.
Let's say that Aang goes into the Avatar state, and now let's get into a little bit of Zuko's story. Zuko and Iroh.
Zuko and Iroh are currently at a spa.
Yeah, that's what it
And
looks like.
They're
yes.
just having a spa day,
and
they're
Zuko is not.
Zuko's
Iroh
not,
is.
but Iroh, they're resting up to get prepared for their long journey ahead, which they don't really say why they're resting up, do they? They're just there.
Well,
I
they
think
don't-
I think it's to set up for Azula to come get them.
They don't have a fleet a ship or anything because
They're-
Zhao took everything from them, so they're basically on the lam right now.
Zhao's dead,
Yeah,
so they've got nothing. They've so it's just basically just those two together right now, which I love. We go from this huge army to now it's just these two core characters by
yeah.
themselves.
This is my favorite time period
Yeah.
for
And,
Zuko. Just Zuko and Iroh together.
I love Zuko all the time, but this is the time where we see Azula comes back and she finds those two in the spa, and she says, "Hey, Father." When in her, this is Grey Delisle in her creepy voice.
Yeah, and she's so good in this.
I think she has. I'm pretty sure she has her own little theme song. The ting ting ting, like it's really creepy.
Yeah, it's very
you
creepy.
picture like Annabelle a doll or something like that. Like you picture a creepy doll. Like that's what you picture.
Because when we first see her in this episode,
She's training.
She walks down her ship, and there's like all these like special forces, these really cool firebenders.
Well, no, when we
with
first see her, she's with the two old ladies and she's training by herself.
No, that is not true. She walks down and she tells all the people to go find Zuko, and then she's talking to the captain of the ship, and the captain says, "Hey, we can't land because the tides won't permit it." And then Azula gets this really cool line where she's like, "Well, will the tides think twice about smashing you off the rocks if I throw you overboard?"
Yeah, you're right.
And then the captain says no, and she says, "Well, you should probably worry about me then, who I haven't decided that I'm going to kill you yet, and the tides don't even care." So yeah, she's just right off the bat creepy, domineering, and just like in charge. And she's only 14 years old, and she's
The
sort
princess
of like
of the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure to behold. And then she just like you could go a different way. You could let the pressure crack you, and you could become crazy, or you could become strong, like Zuko ends up doing.
Yeah.
But
I think there's a little bit of both. in Zuko.
she goes insane, and we see
full on psycho.
this is the first episode we actually get to see. We've seen lightning redirection. We get to see lightning
Yeah,
generation.
we see
Straight
her
up generation.
actually creating lightning.
Yes.
she's got her two creepy old like trainers there or whatever. The
Which
twins.
I'm convinced that they're the twins from that movie with Jack Nicholson, The Shining.
Absolutely
They've
not.
grown up to be these old grandmas, and they're teaching Azula
Back in time,
just
in
to
a different
maintain their
universe.
creepiness.
No, that's ridiculous.
That hotel was magical. There could be time travel in there.
Holly, why don't you save it for your Shining podcast?
I wish I had one.
Yeah. So then, as Harley was saying, Azula shows up to where Zuko and Iroh are, and she says that the Fire Lord is very regretful of banishing Zuko and wants him to come back.
And Zuko is automatically just, man, like, because he needs his honor back, and to be accepted back into the fold is everything he's been searching for. And without having to hunt down the Avatar anymore, he can quit that. He can come back home, and he can
Be the prince he was destined to be.
Exactly. He can get everything back he needs to be. His royal, hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that. Be fed from other servants. But anyways, he hears all that, and so they go back, and we get to see that captain. And Iroh's completely against this. He's very skeptical from the start.
Yeah, well, he even says that
They get in a fight.
to Zuko. He says the Fire Lord's never regretful, so he doesn't think that this is
Because the Fire
true.
Lord is Iroh's brother, actually.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't remember my brother ever being regretful for anything.
Wildly different genetics, I will say.
For sure.
Iroh is shorter than Azula, and the Fire Lord is this tall, like beastly guy.
I still think Iroh could take Ozai for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, he's the dragon.
It's
of the
not even
West.
close.
He's the baddest cat in town every town he goes into, in towns that he's not even been in.
Spoilers. Wasn't Iroh supposed to be the Fire Lord? Because I think he's
can't
older.
remember.
We'll probably figure it
I
out
think
later.
because of the 100-day siege of Ba Sing Se,
Yeah.
which we covered in the movie. If you guys decide to watch that commentary, we've covered that whole spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
I think because of that, they decided to not. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure we find out later.
Yeah, but so we get Iroh and Zuko, a little tension there, and I love every time Zuko says something that Iroh doesn't want him to say. He always bows his head. We see it twice in these two episodes. He just kind of bows his head like, I'm accepting that. I want you to do your own thing, but I hope my teachings will rub off on you. I know you're a good kid. You're just struggling with a lot right now. because Zuko's struggling with a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He's been emotionally and physically scarred by his entire family, his entire nationality.
His only goal is to find the Avatar to restore his honor, and he just lost an entire ship. And
He lost a
army.
huge battle.
Yeah.
And they blame those guys for that. Like Azula even says, Father blames Uncle Iroh for that, but she wants you to come back. And so Zuko freaks out on Iroh for not wanting to go back with Azula, and then so he leaves, and then Iroh's like, "Hey, no, wait for me!" Like at the dock, like the whole, come with us. And then you can see the camera will pan in on Iroh's eyes a couple times, and he's really skeptical about what's going on.
This is actually one of the only times we see like some semblance of happiness from Zuko. Is because he was gonna go with Azula himself, and then Iroh shows up, and he's like very joyful that his uncle decided to come with him, because it's really the only family he has at this point.
I don't even know if he smiled. I don't think we've seen like Zuko
Probably
smile
not,
like
but
one time in the entire show.
He was not frowning.
No, he was happy though. You could tell he was happy because he cares for his uncle. His uncle has been there since he was very little. Ever since he was born, his uncle has been there, and then his uncle was not an outcast, but he was also kind of dishonored since the 100 day siege of Ba Sing Se, and since Zuko was cast out, they're kind of just together, and they've been together their entire time. And he's been the mentor, he's been the father figure.
Yeah, he's basically his father.
Had. Basically, yeah, and I really like that. And so they go down to the dock, and there is
where Azula's ships went.
Yeah, the line of those what we call the Spec Ops Fire Nation soldiers,
and they're really, really cool looking.
Their masks look bad.
Yeah,
and so we see that they walk through, and there's that what is it? He had a captain of the ship or something.
Yeah, it's the
same guy who is very terrible to Azula. If I was Azula, I'd kill him immediately. He'd be
absolutely
dead. But anyways, so they walk up, and he's like, "All right, everybody, get on the ship. Let's take these prisoners down to the hold." And he stops, and you can see Azula's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you now." And then he's like, "I'm so sorry, princess." And then Iroh immediately starts attacking everybody. Yeah. Because they start attacking him too.
And then he's just throwing them off the ship and stuff.
And we get to see Zuko do his little fire knives.
Yeah, Zuko, Iroh's attacking everybody like on the docks. And Zuko jumps up on the ship and does this really cool punch kick where he's sort of sideways and he hits two people at once.
Yeah.
And they fall off the ship.
He extends his foot and he extends his hand.
Yeah, and then he brings out those fire blades.
Which are awesome.
And it's a really cool battle between him and Azula because he is like on the offense the entire time, and she's just sort of blocking him and getting away because she is a firebending prodigy.
Yes, which is what I was trying to discuss when we watched the episode. We've seen Zuko. We've seen him train a couple times, and he's for the last 3 years. They said he's been cast out, searching for the Avatar. I wonder what he was doing for those first 2 years where there was no evidence of the Avatar at all.
I don't know. Yeah, he was just hunting for the Avatar.
Man, I gotta find the Avatar. But so there was 3 years of him looking for the Avatar, and he's been trained by Iroh. But then you see Azula, which she's still got her wealth, she's still got her family, she's still the princess of the Fire Nation. So she probably has expensive training. Like she has a very expensive training education, and she got those two old ladies, which are probably insanely good firebending. I don't know if they're firebenders or not, but they're good teachers.
Well, because they're teaching her. I don't know if they're actually teaching her the moves, but they're critiquing her when she's doing her lightning bending.
And she's probably had that since she was. I think she has had that since she was very young. And Azula has always been the favorite of the Fire Lord, and like Zuko says. She was born lucky.
She's heartless.
Yeah, she was born lucky, and Zuko was lucky to be born. And I love that line.
It's still a good line. Yeah.
It's still a great line. And so we finally get to see those two fight, and it's almost reminiscent of Count Dooku and Anakin fighting, where when they first fight, Anakin's just hold on. Anakin's just attacking and just slashing and jabbing, and Dooku's just kind of like, I'm the best here, and he just kind of dances away from everything and just kind of parries everything. Yeah, and Anakin's really aggressive. So
you can sort of see it as Azula is just toying with.
Yeah, he's just playing with him, and I like that a lot.
And then, she
hasn't even started bending yet.
No, and then I don't think she bends at all until she goes in for the kill and fires off a lightning bolt at Zuko.
And then here comes the Dragon of the West.
Yeah, the coolest thing. Iroh comes up, grabs her hand, and then redirects the lightning into like a cliffside. I think
blows up the cliff.
Yeah, and then
so that would have obliterated Zuko,
which is cool because I think Iroh had already taken care of everybody and was just waiting and watching Zuko and Azula because he could have jumped in at any time and just demolished Azula.
Which I love that one. I think that he has confidence in Zuko's abilities.
Yeah.
But he knows when to step in. He's not always there to pick up Zuko's messes, but he knows that Zuko's headstrong. He's arrogant too, but he's not as good of a bender or a fighter even as Azula as we've seen so far. And
I think he's probably better with swords.
Oh, for sure, I guarantee that. But then he steps in, practically breaks her arm, and then kicks her off the boat.
Yeah, it's
and
really
then
cool.
And then they run away, and we see them later on after we see Aang and whatnot. We see them come back, and this is when they cut their ponytails off, which I'm pretty sure the ponytails are a sign of royalty because all the royal family has those ponytails, and they have those little circular metal things in their hair with a Fire Nation insignia.
Yeah, and also that's what Roku has also. So it's probably a sign of like a higher class.
Yeah. So so when they cut that off, it pretty much just signifies, hey, we're on the run now. We cannot be associated with these
We're
guys.
not royalty anymore
at
basically.
all. Yeah.
So that pretty much wraps up Zuko and Iroh for this episode. So let's get back to Aang has just entered the Avatar state from the coaxing of General Fong, and after he's finished destroying everything, basically, we see the Katara is all right, obviously.
Yeah, he says, hey, you can come out of the Avatar state. Your girlfriend's all right. And he pulls her out of the ground. And she's like, oh, I don't know what I was doing down there.
But Aang's still
dark.
like, I don't care. I'm in the Avatar state now, and I'm mad.
Has his what is that called? Like his out-of-body experience,
No, yeah, that's what...
Has it came back into his body?
No, so, yeah, he leaves, and what we were describing
Spectral
earlier...
form?
Yeah, we were describing earlier, he's riding with Avatar Roku.
On the dragon.
And
awesomeness.
Avatar Roku is explaining the Avatar state to him, and like, you're the most powerful you will ever be, but you're also the weakest. If you die, there's no more Avatar, so there can't be balance or harmony in the world.
Which I was thinking about this earlier when we saw the Avatar state, and when he, because every time he goes in the Avatar state, he quickly picks up the closest element to him, obviously, because he's in the Avatar state.
Yeah.
Like when he's here, you see the tornado of dust. When he's at the air temple, he's at the tornado of air. And when he's at the in the water, he's got the tornado of water.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was really cool. There's like that keeps coming back.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But
I hadn't thought about that.
When he fully masters all of his chakras, and when he fully masters all 4 elements, what's the point of the Avatar state anymore for him? I realized for the next Avatar, it'll help them learn
wisdom.
faster.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like just to go back and join this or go to the spirit world and talk to your older selves to be like, hey, what do I do in this situation?
Okay, so you can learn all the bending. Like obviously, all the avatars learn the different bending techniques, but the Avatar state is a different thing because you actually experience all of your previous selves and all of their experience. So it's
their
not,
individual thoughts and their ways of thinking.
Yeah,
it's
not just you can do all the bending now. You're prepared for any situation really.
I don't know. That just because to me, like as I covered in like the first episode, I'm still not a big fan of the Avatar state.
Okay, so yeah,
but it's cool when he goes crazy in the Avatar state.
Yeah, so yeah, we get all this. We find out about the Avatar state, and then his spectral form comes back into his body, and then they're like, okay, we don't want to be here anymore. We're gonna leave.
He's wrecked this entire compound.
Yeah, we don't want you trying to use Aang anymore. So Sokka hits the general on the head, knocks him out. And then they leave, and that's the end of this episode.
They do not need that escort. They will get on Appa and find their way to the next episode. I'm kidding. We're going to talk about trivia first.
Yeah. We got. There's some really cool trivia in this. I know. We'll start off. This is the first episode where Sokka's shirt is sleeveless, so I guess that comes to play later.
I was going to say this is the first episode where we see Sokka naked, but that's the next episode.
Yes.
That's right, kids. Naked children. I'm kidding.
And this is actually the first episode where Aang is seen earthbending, even though it's in the Avatar state. This is the first time, apparently.
Wait, what?
It's the first time we've seen him earthbending, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Even though it's in the Avatar state, I understand that. But, yeah, like I said before, this is the first time we see lightning generation, where she actually creates the lightning and not just redirects it, which is cool.
And so apparently in this episode, Katara is considered an official master of waterbending. So now she's a waterbending master. So Aang hasn't mastered it yet, but she's going to train him on the way, as we see in the next episode.
This is definitely the first episode, or the last episode, we see Zuko with his royal haircut.
Yes.
As we established earlier, which is sad because he looked so prim and proper, and he still looked like he could regain his honor. And then once he cuts his hair, he's like that little patch that he has back there is just weird. But when he cuts his hair, he just looks like a refugee and just looks like a homeless man. I don't know. Like he doesn't look like he's gonna get his honor back. He doesn't look like he wants to try.
Yeah,
But he's still in there. But I don't know.
yeah. It marks a change in his character and a point in his story arc.
He does become softer after he cuts his, like, not like softer as in like, a small child, but he does become like more, I wouldn't say approachable, but he as a character, he was always sharp and just decisive and angry all the time. He's still going to be angry all the time, but I think he's become a softer individual emotionally. Like he's like more accepting of, man, my circumstances suck, but I got Uncle Iroh and we're going to get through this. Like I think that's what he becomes. This is his first real, like it's the first episode of the second season. We've had him for a whole season of him being angry and searching for the Avatar, wanting to kill things, and he's always been aggressive and headstrong and attack first, ask questions later. But now we get him a little bit, man, all right, we got to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, because we see
gotta
him.
take a step back.
We see him without all the trimmings that a prince would necessarily be. So he's learning a different side of life. Really,
He becomes really dehumanized, like Thor in the movie Thor, when he loses his powers.
I said that for your Thor podcast.
I'm just giving references to people who might like.
So, this is actually Zuko and Iroh cutting their hair parallels the story of Buddha, who, when starting a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment, cut off his hair beside a river. So that it's on different levels.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it's showing just how significant it is cutting their hair and starting a new leaf, basically. And then the last piece of trivia we have is the writing on Zuko's knife reads, which means never give up without a fight.
I believe you actually used that. That's so funny. That's actually from the show Hey Arnold, if you've ever seen Hey Arnold.
Yes, the Japanese anime Hey Arnold.
That is actually Japanese for Hey Football Head.
No, it's actually never give up without a fight, which was a mantra in that show.
All the time.
So, yeah, that ends
Heavily Japanese based.
The first episode. Harley, why don't we move on to the next?
Because I have trouble moving on, that's why. Just ask my ex when I get drunk.
Okay.
Don't ask her.
So the next episode is called The Cave of Two Lovers.
See that, guys? We're getting better at knowing the names of these episodes.
And I'm also not just reading it off of my computer screen.
He is not a liar. We swear to God.
So The Cave of Two Lovers starts off with the gang on their way to Omashu. They're sort of just taking a break. Sokka is just floating around on a leaf in a pond, and Aang and Katara are practicing waterbending.
This is where we get to see, actually, Katara and we get to see her little ice spike things again. She's very dangerous with those things.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I guess it wasn't ice spikes before, it was little blades. But she always goes for like that, I'm going to kill you aspect of waterbending.
Yeah, she
she never backs down, man.
Straight up spikes. I'm going to send something through your body and impale you.
And Aang's just an octopus.
Or either that, or I'm going to smack you as hard as I can with a water whip.
But I think the octopus is pretty cool.
Oh yeah. We see Aang doing this an octopus move, which I think they get from one of the scrolls. And
yeah,
so it's basically what we saw them doing earlier with the water when Aang was trying to make a water whip that was still in the water, but he's got 8 tentacles now that is swirling around him, blocking the projectiles Katara's throwing at him. And then eventually he goes up and grabs Katara's leg with the octopus arm to signify that he could have taken her out right there.
And stabs her with one of the icicles that she threw
And
at
she's
him.
dead. And
She's
now the
bleeding
show revolves around Avatar Aang instead of Avatar Katara.
And about his hunt for Zuko and to kill him and to restore the air nomads.
Yes.
It's a wildly different show than what you remember as children. Trust me.
It changes every time you watch it.
But when I was a child and I first read the title, because I had Dish, you just hit the little info button and pop up. And
Well, aren't
title.
you fancy?
I'm so fancy with my Dish. So popped up, hit the info button when I could just read the title when it first pops up. The Cave of Two Lovers. When I first read that, I automatically assumed, all right, Aang and Katara, they're finally going to kiss. And we don't see it.
Yeah, maybe. You don't know. That's a little further on in the episode. So almost immediately after that, we hear some music off in the distance.
We meet a group of travelers.
So the nomads, and they're some of the funniest in the series. Not necessarily what they say is funny, but the way that Sokka and everyone interacts with them, because they're basically high.
all the time.
Yeah, they're hippies.
We actually get to see D. Bradley Baker not just perform as Appa or Momo, but he's actually Chong.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize that.
No, I don't think I've heard his voice.
know D. Bradley Baker from the 2 Star Wars series, Clone Wars and Rebels.
Holly, why don't you say that for your Star Wars podcast?
Also related to Dave Filoni.
So, yeah, they meet these traveling nomads, the Wanderers, who say that they know a way to get to Omashu, and it's through a cursed cave.
The Cave of Two Lovers.
Yes, and Sokka is not up for that at all.
No.
He's like, okay, we're just gonna like fly on Appa out of here because you guys are idiots.
And so it immediately cuts to a show, or a scene, a cut, dang it, I will get it out there in a second, of Appa flying through the air and then getting shot at by a bunch of, like, dozens of fireballs. And then it cuts them back to where they're walking past.
They show
like,
up there
all right,
ashy.
secret tunnel, let's go.
So they follow these nomads who have a secret tunnel song, which you might have heard at the beginning of this episode. And they go into the Cave of Two Lovers, which it's cursed apparently because it's something about love will light the way, but if you don't use love, then you will be in the tunnel forever and die.
I think they died in the tunnel too, didn't they?
Yes. Well, they're buried in the tunnel.
Yes, after they created Omashu.
Yes.
And please tell us why it's named Omashu, Caleb.
So, well, okay. I was gonna go through the story a little bit, but apparently the woman's name with the woman lover was named Oma, and the male lover was named Shu, and so yeah, they're going through this tunnel, and they encounter a wolf bat, which is fierce. Like, it's scary. I would never want to see one of those.
It looks like
things.
a very large cat with a fake mask on, and then
like a death mask.
a death mask.
That's the best I can describe it. A death mask,
like the blue spirit mask from the movie.
yeah.
And then bat wings, and they're very terrifying. So
Yeah.
it can not only run, it can not only screech and bite the crap out of you, it can fly.
So this thing attacks the gang and the nomads basically, and at this point they've been wandering around the cave because the Fire Nation has collapsed the entrance that they went into. So they're just trying to find a way out. Sokka's got a map, and apparently he says the tunnels are moving because they keep ending back up where they were.
Apparently he's never been in any maze ever. This goes back to The Shining, where Jack Nicholson gets lost in that maze. To get out of a maze, or to get to the center of the maze, put your right hand on the right wall and just don't let go.
Yeah, just walk.
And just walk. You'll find your way out.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
But I mean, if the tunnels are changing, then I don't think
Then yeah,
that's
he's lost forever. He will die like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
So I think they've got like 5 torches or something like that.
Yes, and they're like that's like 2 hours apiece.
Yeah, 2 hours apiece, so 10 hours, and then the one lady hippie lights it up.
Yeah, she's like, so that's 10
Lights all of
hours,
them.
and lights them all up. It's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, so they've got one torch around, and then the bat thing attacks, basically, and Sokka drops the torch, or someone drops a torch on Appa's foot, and it burns him, even though he's faced firebenders before and didn't really have a problem with the flames.
And they go over the top.
Oh my goodness, he goes
with the
crazy.
with the Appa destruction. Like, it's instead of Appa just running off into like the cave and like him like smacking something on the way through and breaking stuff down, and then they got to find Appa later. He runs into the wall,
Yes.
turns around, runs into another wall, turns around, runs back into the first wall.
And creates a Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets style cave-in.
It's ludicrous. Like, move, get out the way, insane.
Yeah, so, and while this cave-in's going on, Aang actually saves everybody because he airbends all the hippies and Sokka over to one side, and then the thing's going to drop on Katara, so he runs over and dives and tackles her out of the way.
He planned that. He is going to put a baby in Katara.
And so
He does eventually.
So now we're separated. Aang and Katara and Appa, and Sokka with all the hippies.
And Momo.
Yes. Momo's sitting on top of Sokka's head for the majority of the time.
There is no point in Momo for this entire series, I feel like.
No, he's just fun. Yeah, so they're all separated. So yeah, Sokka's with the hippies, and Katara and Appa are together. So Aang and Katara head off in another direction, and they end up upon this like antechamber, this room.
Tomb, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. So they see what they think is the exit, and Appa just runs into it and knocks the door down, and they find that it's this
Tomb
it's
of
a
Jesus
tomb,
Christ.
basically. No.
He has risen. Easter Sunday, folks, coming up.
Don't date the podcast, Harley.
I've only there's a couple podcasts that I haven't dated.
Okay, so yeah, they find there's these two tombs, and they figure out that it's the two lovers that the cave is named after.
Yes, it is actually they are the reincarnations of the two lovers. That's my headcanon.
Okay, I'm not going to take the time to explain headcanon to everybody in the audience.
Download Tumblr, you'll learn it in 2 days.
But they find sort of an inscription on the tomb that details the story of the two lovers.
There's some glyphs in there too, a little bit.
Yeah, there's pictograms.
Yeah, stuff.
Pictures basically, and it just goes through. So these two lovers were from different towns, sort of a Romeo and Juliet thing, and they would meet in the caves where they learned earthbending from the Badger Moles, who were the first earthbenders, and then they created this giant tunnel with earthbending so that they would have a place to meet. To their two towns wouldn't know that they were meeting because they were at war.
I don't know what you guys do with your lover in a secret tunnel, but it is not play with Badger Moles.
I mean, if they're earthbending, I'm definitely going to play with the Badger Moles.
Unless I was an earthbender, then I'd be like, you know what, you can not make out with me. I'm going to over your earthbending.
Yeah,
I can move the world.
That's much cooler.
Yeah.
But so they created this tunnel so that other
that's the
people would get
nerdiest thing
lost.
we've said in our entire lives.
Very much.
Oh wow.
But it's very true. And so Aang and Katara, they're running out of their lamp or whatever, the torch. Sorry. And
candle.
Katara has this crazy idea that it actually they're standing in front of a mural that shows the two lovers kissing. And so Katara's craziest idea is that maybe Aang and Katara have to kiss so that true love can light the way.
Do a little tonsil hockey in the caves.
And, well, not exactly. But Aang sticks his foot right into his mouth and says that he would, if it were between dying and kissing Katara, he would kiss Katara. And Katara takes that very much the wrong way.
Yes, yeah. Well, it was executed poorly
Yes.
on his part. He didn't know what's going on. He's also 100 years old, but he's only technically, 11 or 10?
He's 112 years old.
I don't think he's ever dealt with a girl.
12. Why do you always get his age wrong?
I know everybody else's age, but I don't know his. I don't know if he's ever had to actually deal with another woman.
Well, probably not, because he lived with monks.
Yeah, but there were girl monks, weren't there?
No, not with, not like in...
Not in the Nomads?
No.
Because in Korra...
Yeah, I think that's a later edition. And
Okay.
there's actually, the last Air Avatar was
a woman.
A woman.
Yeah, so there's probably...
But they're when we saw
But they're all
flashbacks, there wasn't.
nomads. They're probably like a rule of, like, I don't know, abstinence or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
But anyways, so he's never had to deal with a woman socially,
Yeah.
physically, sexually. And here's Katara, this gorgeous anime-esque individual that does not exist in real life. Trust me, kids. And she's like, hey, we should go to prom together. And he's like, okay, let's do that. And they go to prom together. Totally her idea.
And yeah, and like
And
the
they
prom
make
is
out.
the prom is like cool looking, like it's sort of like an under the sea sort of thing.
Right.
And they show up, and Katara's in like this really fancy dress, and Aang's in like a tux and stuff.
There's some early 2000s jams.
It was a really well executed prom scene. But then they're still in the cave, and where we see Aang and Katara, and their torches, it's going out. And so as it's going out in the dying light, we see them move closer together, presumably to kiss.
lock lips. And they do. And then
Maybe.
the ceiling of the cavern glows blue or green, depending on what colors you see. It looked blue to me.
It looked more of a blue.
All right. So, anyways, blue. And they're
yeah.
blue diamonds or crystals.
They're like
or,
crystals that light up when there's no light around.
Yeah, pretty much glow in the dark. So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. And it leads them.
It leads the way.
to
And
escape.
while this is going on, we see Sokka and the hippies who are cowering down with all the wolf bats flying over the top of them, and Sokka's trying to like fight them off, but they're just going past him. And it's that classic trope that when you see something like going by but it doesn't attack you,
They're not running to something.
they're running away from something. And that something is giant badger moles who are about ready to kill
Specifically,
all of them.
great big bad badger moles.
Yes, but they're about ready to kill the hippies and Sokka until Sokka accidentally hits the lute or the guitar or whatever it is,
We're going to call it the ukulute guitar.
the ukulutatar
The ukulutatar.
that the hippie was playing. And it turns out badger moles are music lovers.
Absolutely.
And
You didn't know that, kids. Find yourself a badger mole, play some music, and it will dig a tunnel for you.
Chong, I think his name is,
Yes.
pulls another lute out of nowhere.
Out of his tunic.
Yes, so he's just chocked full to the brim with lutes on his belt. So yeah, the badger moles lead Sokka and all them out, and everything's all right in the world.
Except for when they. Okay, my favorite moment happens.
It's time
in this
for
episode.
Harley's favorite moment happens in this episode.
Yeah, we need some like sound effects.
Yeah,
for
the
that.
new segment. I'll add it in post.
My favorite segment is when they're standing there and it's Katara, Sokka, and then Chong walks up and Katara goes, Sokka, why do you have that red mark on your head? And then Chong walks up and he goes, nobody react to what I'm about to tell you. But I think that kid back there is the Avatar. And then Sokka smacks his head. And I love that.
It's a very funny scene.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
It always has little moments in this show that I recognize as moments that you don't need, but they're comic relief, and it's like 2 seconds of extra animation that is just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I enjoy it.
Yeah. At this point, the episode is winding down, but we still have one reveal left in the very end of the episode, which is Aang and Katara and Sokka fly on Appa to Omashu, and they end up arriving there.
It's a big reveal for Sokka because as they come over to the crest of the hill or the mountain, he goes
talking about the destination, how safe it's going to be for him to learn airbending
and
or
he
water
goes,
earthbending.
Welcome to the great. They're going to learn mud bending here, actually, kids. If you didn't know that was a thing, and he goes, "Welcome to the great city of Omashu," and turns out
It has been taken over by the Fire Nation.
the Mud Nation.
There's a giant Fire Nation insignia
There's
on the front
the
of
Mud
the
Nation insignia.
no, Fire Nation.
Mud everywhere.
It's fire. And so Omashu is not the safe haven they thought it was going to be.
So, what happened to King Boomy, do you ask? Are there still flying carts around? Is the Cabbage Man still in Omashu?
Find out in the next episode of The Boys in the Iceberg, or
Dun,
Avatar,
dun, dun,
depending
dun.
on which one you do first.
Yeah, whichever one.
Yeah, so that's the very end of this episode. Let's get on to a little bit of trivia.
A little bit of trivia. Let's roll off some trivia, Caleb.
Yeah, so this episode begins with the Leaves from the Vine melody.
Does it
Which,
really?
yes, I did not recognize, I guess. Probably wasn't paying as much of attention as I should have been.
Well, maybe because you don't actually hear the words "leaves from the vine," which would
Yeah.
help you with this, knowing the song.
At one point, Chong says, "The tunnels, they're a-changin'." This is a reference to Bob Dylan's song, "The Times, They Are A-Changin'," which was a hit in the 1960s, a time period affiliated with hippies.
If any of you guys remember the '60s, it was.
I know I do.
I just like it was yesterday.
The song that is played during the story of the two lovers is called "The Avatar's Love." Convenient. The story of the two lovers is similar to that of Romeo and Juliet, as we brought up earlier, and the tale of Pyramus and Thisbe, on which it is based, a famous play by William Shakespeare, and its musical adaptation.
I guess I am not familiar with that.
The rash on Iroh's left leg, which he received from the white jade plant, is very similar to the burn scar song show by Zuko.
We
we
did not even talk about that at all.
over Zuko and Iroh's storyline in this. So I'm going to sum it up real quick for you. Iroh finds a plant, which could have been either poison or tea. It turns out it was not tea, it was poison. So when he drinks it, he breaks out into a rash. And then they go and meet some Earthbender, or not Earthbender, but Earth Tribe members at their house. And they're helping Iroh with his rash. And then they invite him and Zuko back to their house to eat. And I think they're eating duck, maybe, I think was it. And so then there's a sort of a love interest with the daughter and Zuko, but he pushes her away. And she reveals that she's been burned and hurt by the Fire Nation. And so he sort of sees that other people have been hurt by the Fire Nation, not just him, which he also has burned inside his face. And so they've been very nice to him. And as they're leaving, Zuko steals their horse bird from him. And Iroh's like, "What are you doing? They were very nice to us." And we still see that Zuko has a little bit of humanity in him, but he's still got a lot to go till he's changed. Okay, and that just about sums that up. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you like the podcast, you can give us a rating and a review on iTunes. If you want to send us an email, we are at the boys in the iceberg at gmail.com. And you can check us out on Twitter at Boys in the Berg. As always, I've been Caleb Bader.
And I am Harley Davis.
And thank you so much for listening. We'll see you here next week.